My name is Aurelia. The night I opened the wrong folder, my marriage ended in silence. It was past midnight. The house rested. The clocks hummed like insects. Colton had said he would work late in the study. He liked the ritual. A glass of water. A neat stack of papers. Earbuds so he could ignore the world. I walked down the hall for a charger. The study door stood open a finger's width. Light spilled over the floor like a blade. I knocked once and waited. No answer. Colton was not at the desk. His jacket lay on the chair. His laptop screen glowed. Sleep mode had not caught it yet. I told myself to turn away. I told myself to leave the charger and go back to bed. But on the desk was a manila folder with my name scribbled on a sticky note. Aurelia, receipts. We had promised to review our monthly budget this weekend. I reached for the folder. Inside were two piles. The first was ours. Groceries. Gas. Shoes for our son. The second was not ours. A resort logo I did not recognize. A private club on the bay. 2 tickets for a sunset cruise. The dates were next week. Next to the receipts was a printed itinerary labeled Wild Getaway. Someone had circled the words in pen and drawn a heart. My hands went cold. My mouth did not work. I set the paper down. Picked it up again. I read slowly so I would not faint. 2 flights booked. 1 suite for 2 guests. 1 driver at the airport. Dinner for 2 at midnight. A note at the bottom in Colton's handwriting. No kids. No calls. No work. Just us. For one long breath I tried to pretend us meant me. I tried to imagine a surprise. A vow renewal. A secret gift. It lasted 1 heartbeat. Then my eyes found the travel agent's message printed behind the itinerary. It said she confirmed her passport. She chose the ocean view. She loves oysters. Please charge the deposit to your corporate card and your personal card as arranged. She. Not me. Outside a car passed. The headlights slid over the wall. The light found our wedding photo. In the frame we were laughing. My dress was simple. His hand was on my back. The woman in the photo did not know the word wild would one day mean without her. The hallway creaked. I flinched and closed the folder. I put it exactly where it had been. I took the charger and walked back to the bedroom. I climbed into bed and stared at the ceiling until the plaster turned to fog. At 2 in the morning Colton came in. He moved softly so he would not wake me. He smelled like mint. He lay on his side with his back to me. His breathing slowed. He slept like a man who trusted the dark. I lay there and felt something inside me harden. Not rage. Not yet. A clean cold edge. A promise to myself that I would not raise my voice. I would not beg. I would not be the woman who discovers a betrayal and loses her shape. I would be the woman who learns the whole truth. I would be the woman who plans. At dawn I brewed coffee. Colton wandered in with an easy smile. He kissed my cheek. He said he had a work thing next week. He called it a conference. He used the same calm tone he used when he asked for the salt at dinner. I asked where it would be. He said the coast. I asked which hotel. He said he did not remember. He laughed. He said his assistant had it handled. He reached for a mug. His hands did not shake. I nodded. I said nothing more. He walked out whistling one slow line from an old song we loved. The line used to make me feel safe. Today it sounded like a door closing. When he left for the office I opened the study again. I photographed every page. Dates. Times. Reservation codes. The travel agent's email. The note in his handwriting. I forwarded the images to a private address I had created years ago and never used. I cleaned the desk. I wiped the mouse. I placed everything back exactly as I had found it. Before lunch I drove past Colton's building. His car was there. I drove 2 more blocks. A boutique hotel faced the river. On its marquee hung a banner for a couple's weekend. I parked and sat very still until my pulse slowed. I made a rule. I would not confront him without proof that could not be washed away by charm. I would gather evidence. I would keep it lawful. I would keep it clean. I would make it so the truth, when placed on a table, would be heavier than any excuse. That night I wrote a single sentence in my journal. He has planned a wild getaway without me. Then I added another. I will answer with a plan he will never forget. The house settled again. The hallway cooled. The study light went dark. I lay awake and counted my breaths. Because the next morning a text arrived from an unknown number. It was a photo of Colton on a balcony by the sea, a woman's hand on his shoulder, and a message that read, "He asked me to keep it secret until Friday." The photo burned through me like salt on an open cut. Colton stood on a balcony, shirt unbuttoned, wind in his hair. A woman's hand rested on his shoulder. Only the hand. No face. The message beneath the image read, "He asked me to keep it secret until Friday." I stared until my vision pulsed. Then I placed the phone on the counter. I washed an already clean cup. I breathed in for 4 counts. I breathed out for 6. I needed a steady mind more than I needed outrage. I wrote the number on a sticky note. Then I copied the image to my private archive. I checked the photo details. The timestamp matched the itinerary dates. The geotag matched the coastal town printed on the booking sheet. This was not a guess. This was alignment. Colton walked in as if nothing had shifted in our orbit. He wrapped his arms around my waist. "Big day," he said lightly. "Long meetings. Dinner with the team." He kissed my temple like a habit. "Which team?" I asked. "West Accounts," he said too fast. "You do not know them." "Where?" I asked. He reached for a banana. "Hotel restaurant. The one downtown." I pictured the banner on the riverfront. Couples weekend. Champagne in silver buckets. Petals on white sheets. I nodded and let the lie sit between us like a bowl we would both pretend not to see. When he left, I dialed the unknown number from a second phone I kept for work. It went to voicemail. A low female voice said only, "Leave a message." I did not. I ended the call and saved the recording of the greeting. Every scrap mattered now. I drove to the office of our bank. I requested a printout of last month's statements. I did not ask for explanations. I simply took the envelope and thanked the teller. In the car I scanned the lines. There it was. A deposit from Colton's company to reimburse client entertainment. There it was again. A charge to the private club on the bay. The dates overlapped by 1 day. Harper's voice rang in my head from a past consultation. If there is infidelity tied to misuse of corporate funds, document without stealing. Photograph what is in plain sight. Request what you are entitled to. Keep your hands clean. I was still clean. At noon I called June. I told her I needed a witness for 1 hour that evening. "I will be there," she said. "What clothes?" She always asked that when the truth would be shown to strangers. "Quiet ones," I said. "Nothing that shouts." I went home and set the table as if life were normal. I made a simple pasta. I placed 2 plates. Colton texted at 5. "Running late. Do not wait up." A heart emoji followed. I stared at the red shape until it felt like a sticker on glass. At 7 I parked 2 blocks from the riverfront hotel. June slid into the passenger seat. She wore a dark coat and no perfume. "Ready?" she asked. I nodded. We walked the long way so the cameras at the main entrance would not catch us together. We chose a table in the lounge with a view of the elevators. We ordered tea. We did not speak much. We watched. At 8:43, Colton stepped out of the elevator with a woman in a silk dress the color of dusk. She touched his sleeve the way you touch a person you already know. He guided her with a small hand at her back. He laughed like a man who had set his burdens down. They moved to the host stand. They were seated in the corner. June squeezed my hand once. "Do you want to leave?" she whispered. "No," I said. I lifted my phone. I took 3 still photos. I did not use a flash. I filmed 6 seconds when their hands reached for the same wineglass. I filmed 3 more when the server placed oysters on ice. When they stood, Colton's hand slid to the woman's waist. They walked to the elevators again. The doors closed. June checked the time. 9:22, she said. I wrote it down. We finished our tea and left through the side door. In the car I felt the hot rush of shaking. June put both hands on the wheel and let me tremble. "Do not text him," she said. "Do not break the seal tonight. The evidence must be your voice tomorrow, not your rage tonight." I nodded. The shaking passed like a storm cloud. At home I showered until the water ran cold. I laid the new images with the old ones in my archive. I labeled them with dates and locations. I added a line to my journal. He is not away yet. He is rehearsing. Colton came home a little after midnight. He smelled of sea air and hotel soap. He slid into bed and draped an arm across my waist. You awake? He murmured. I am, I said. Long night, he said, already drifting. Good progress. Good, I whispered. I stared into the dark and counted how many breaths I could stack into a minute. I reached 60 before sleep caught me and shook me loose again. In the morning I made an appointment with Harper for that afternoon. I did not tell Colton. He left his bag on the chair. He hummed the same line from our old song. I wanted to hate the melody. I did not. I hated the lie inside it. Harper's office smelled like paper and cedar. She listened without interrupting. She read the itinerary. She read the bank statement. She watched the 6-second video twice. You have enough to confront privately, she said. And to protect yourself if he denies. Do not record your confrontation without consent. Do not access any device with a password you do not share. Do not break the law to break his story. We will keep this clean. What do I do tonight? I asked. Ask him to tell you where he is going, she said. Ask him to repeat it. Then let him go. Do not block the trip. Do not threaten. He will hang himself with his own rope if you let him. We will prepare a letter to his company about the charges if needed. We will prepare a separation plan if needed. But first, give him a chance to lie on the record. I thanked her and walked out with a folder and a spine made of wire. That night, over roasted chicken, I asked, where is the conference? The coast, he said, eyes on his phone. Which hotel? He glanced up. I told you. I do not remember. Who is going? I asked. Just the team, he said. No clients. Workshops. I cut one piece of chicken. I placed it on his plate. When do you leave? Friday morning, he said. Early. I nodded and took our plates to the sink. My heart felt quiet. Calm is a strange kind of fury. It does not burn. It freezes. Because at 10 that night, the same unknown number texted again. He moved the flight to Thursday. He said your sister will cover for him if you ask. Check the calendar she shares with you. The second message hit harder than the first. He moved the flight to Thursday. He said your sister will cover for him if you ask. My stomach twisted. Someone close to him was feeding me information. Yet they stayed hidden in shadows. I didn't know if it was pity, cruelty, or a warning. But I saved the message and checked my sister's calendar. Sure enough, she had marked a family errand in my name for Friday morning, one I had never planned. Colton had woven her into his lies. That detail made my resolve sharper. Betrayal wasn't just in a hotel room, it was in the fabric of my own bloodline. The next morning I told June everything. She frowned. If your sister's covering for him, you can't confront her yet. You'll spook the whole plan. You need proof she knowingly lied, not just that he used her name. Proof. That word became my compass. I started small. I photographed the second text. I logged the time, date, and sender. Then I dug into the flight changes. Our airline account had joint access. I opened the app and there it was. Colton's seat changed to Thursday night. Next to it, another name. Sienna Lake. My blood went cold. I remembered Sienna faintly. Years ago, she had been a guest at a wedding we both attended. A friend of friends. I had barely spoken to her. Now she was flying across the country with my husband, checked in under a companion booking. I printed the flight receipt. I saved a screenshot. The name was no longer a shadow. It had a shape. That afternoon, I returned to Harper's office. She studied the booking carefully. This is important, she said. It's not just infidelity, it's proof of intent. He changed the flight to match hers. He billed it partly to the corporate account. That's misuse. If we press, it will have consequences for him beyond your marriage. I nodded, gripping the folder tighter. But I need more before I move. Then gather quietly, Harper advised. Hotels, restaurants, credit card statements. Keep your sister out of it for now. If she's an accomplice, we'll know soon enough. So I set traps of silence. I placed a small tracker in Colton's toiletry bag. Not illegal, just a Bluetooth tag we both use for keys. I synced it to my phone. If he moved it across state lines, I would know. I asked June to check public social media for Sienna. Within hours she found a post. An artful photo of luggage near a boarding gate, captioned with 3 words. Ready for escape. The timestamp matched Colton's flight change. By evening the evidence folder was thicker. Printed texts, screenshots, receipts, photos. I labeled each item with sticky notes. My handwriting was steady now, not frantic. Colton came home late, humming again. He kissed my forehead. He asked about my day. I smiled faintly and told him dinner was in the fridge. He didn't notice the calmness in me had shifted into something steel. That night, I pretended to sleep as he whispered into his phone. His words were low but clear enough. Yes, Thursday night. She won't know a thing. I recorded the time. I didn't need the audio. The memory etched itself sharp enough to stay forever. Because the very next morning, an email landed in our shared account. It was a hotel confirmation, romantic suite, champagne on arrival, booked for Mr. Colton Hale and Miss Sienna Lake. The hotel confirmation sat in my inbox like a confession. Mr. Colton Hale and Miss Sienna Lake. Romantic suite. Champagne on arrival. I stared at the words until they blurred. He hadn't just lied in whispers. He had written his betrayal into the system, his name locked beside hers. I called June first. It's official, I whispered. A suite. 2 names. She didn't gasp. She didn't curse. She said, "Good. That's the kind of proof no one can deny. Now you need allies, Aurelia. More than just me." The word tasted strange. Allies. I had been alone in this house for so long, carrying the weight of doubt in silence. But June was right. If I wanted my revenge to land, I needed witnesses. That afternoon, I drove to Harper's office again. I slid the printed email across her desk. She scanned it quickly. "Perfect," she said. "Hotel bookings are ironclad. The names are proof of intent. This will stand up anywhere, court, company, family." "What do I do next?" I asked. She leaned back. "You build the moment. Don't waste this in a private fight where he can twist the truth. You choose a stage where denial crumbles. Somewhere he values reputation. Somewhere he can't silence you." Her words dug deep. Colton had always craved image. Work dinners, charity galas, company retreats. He thrived when people admired him. To expose him there would wound him more than any scream at home. I nodded slowly. "The corporate event next week." Harper smiled. "Exactly. We'll prepare a packet. Documents, receipts, screenshots. We'll keep it sealed until the right moment. If he dares to challenge you, you hand it over. Calm. Legal. Irrefutable." On my way out, Harper touched my arm. "And Aurelia, do not lose your temper. Revenge is stronger when it looks like justice." That night I met June at her apartment. We spread the evidence across her kitchen table. She brought out colored folders and labels. "We'll organize it like a case," she said. "Timeline. Financial records. Witness accounts." I raised a brow. "Witness accounts?" June smirked. "Paul still owes me a favor. He was at that hotel bar last Friday. He saw Colton with Sienna. He didn't think much of it then, but if you ask, he'll confirm. One more piece." I exhaled slowly. "This feels like war." "It is," June said. "But you don't fight with fists. You fight with truth." I spent the next 2 days collecting quietly. I photographed Colton's suitcase half-packed with new shirts I hadn't bought. I logged his late returns. I asked my sister casual questions. She avoided my eyes, confirming she was tangled in his lies whether she liked it or not. By Wednesday night the folder was thick. June helped me practice. She stood in as Colton, throwing excuses at me. "It's business. She's a client. You misunderstood." I practiced answering with silence, sliding the documents across the table one by one. I practiced holding his gaze until his words turned to dust. For the first time I felt ready. But readiness didn't quiet the ache. When Colton kissed me goodbye Thursday morning, suitcase in hand, he looked so ordinary, so sure of his story. For a flicker of a moment, I almost wanted to believe him. But then I remembered Sienna's name printed beside his. That memory turned my softness into stone. I texted June. "He's gone. The game begins now." She replied instantly. "Then let's end it where it hurts most." Because as I closed the door, my phone buzzed again. From the same unknown number. He thinks the hotel is secret. But I'll send you the room number. Be ready. The anonymous message about the hotel room number sat on my screen like a dare. My first instinct was to drive there, to open the door and let the world collapse in one violent second. But Harper's voice echoed in my head. Do not waste your proof in private. Pick the stage where denial dies. So I held my phone, saved the message, and began planning. The corporate gala was scheduled for the following Friday. Colton had bragged about it for weeks. New clients, old colleagues, a chance to polish his charm. He thrived on attention. That would be his downfall. I met Harper and June in Harper's office the next morning. The binder of evidence lay open between us. Flight bookings, the hotel confirmation, screenshots of texts, photos from the riverfront bar. June had even secured a short written statement from Paul, confirming he'd seen Colton with Sienna. This is enough to devastate him privately, Harper said, tapping the binder. But for lasting effect, you need impact. At the gala, you reveal the truth carefully in front of people who matter to him. Colleagues, superiors, clients. Once they see, there's no repair. June leaned forward. How do we do it? Harper outlined the steps with calm precision. First, she would prepare a sealed envelope with the documents. Inside, hotel confirmation, boarding passes, expense records. Second, she'd draft a formal letter for Colton's company, highlighting misuse of corporate funds. Third, Aurelia would decide the moment. Not in fury, Harper warned. In control. You wait for him to boast, then you cut him down with proof. I felt my hands tighten into fists, but I nodded. Control mattered more than rage. June's role was clear. She'd be the witness, positioned near Colton's table, recording his words if he tried to deny. Paul agreed to be present too, ready to confirm what he had seen. Harper would handle the legal weight if Colton or his company tried to twist it back on me. That night, I rehearsed in front of the mirror. I practiced calm lines. Here's the truth. This is the evidence. Your lies stop now. Each time my reflection grew steadier. My eyes no longer looked frightened. They looked sharp. Meanwhile, Colton grew careless. He texted me about late meetings, but his Bluetooth tag told the truth. He was at the Coastal Hotel. June even drove by and snapped a photo of his car parked outside. His arrogance was a gift. Every move he made gave me more rope to tighten. On Thursday evening, he returned home with sunburned cheeks and a new shirt that smelled of unfamiliar perfume. He wrapped his arms around me as though nothing had changed. Just work, he murmured. You know how it is. I smiled faintly. Of course. Inside, I felt a current of ice. The following days, I kept quiet. I set the stage with invisible threads. Harper confirmed the gala guest list. Executives, board members, potential investors. People Colton could not afford to lose. June secured seats near his table. Paul would linger close. All we needed was the right spark. Friday night arrived. I slipped into a dress I hadn't worn in years, simple but elegant. I wanted no one to say I looked bitter or undone. I wanted them to see dignity wrapped in fire. Colton, ever the showman, adjusted his cufflinks in the mirror. You'll see tonight, he said proudly. Everyone will be talking about me. I met his gaze in the reflection. Yes, I whispered. They will. Because as we entered the ballroom, Colton's assistant brushed past me, slipped a folded note into my hand, and whispered, "Don't wait too long. He's planning to announce something tonight." The folded note in my palm felt heavier than the pearls around my neck. Don't wait too long. He's planning to announce something tonight. The words throbbed in my mind as the ballroom lights shimmered overhead. Colton guided me through the crowd with the ease of a man convinced the room belonged to him. He shook hands, laughed loudly, threw out compliments like candy. His charm was rehearsed, perfected, intoxicating to anyone who didn't know the rot beneath. But I knew. And now the note whispered of a twist I hadn't planned for. We sat near the front. Colton whispered, "Stay close." Big moment later. He kissed my cheek in front of his colleagues. A show of affection, a performance. The woman who sat across from us smiled warmly, clearly charmed. She had no idea her eyes were on a mask. I scanned the tables. June was where she promised she'd be, 2 spots over, her phone discreetly angled toward us. Paul lingered near the bar, watching. Harper, poised as ever, sat further back, the sealed envelope hidden in her clutch. The stage was set, but the note had changed the script. Dinner passed slowly. Colton laughed too loudly, his glass never empty. When the keynote ended, the host tapped the microphone. And now, a word from one of our most successful team leaders, Colton Hale. My blood chilled. He rose, smoothing his jacket, and strode to the stage. His smile gleamed like polished silver. Thank you, he began, voice steady, confident. This year has been one of growth, both professional and personal. I've been blessed with opportunities to expand our reach, to strengthen our partnerships, and to embrace a new chapter in my life. New chapter. My hand gripped the table edge. He went on, weaving words about loyalty, ambition, the future. Then he said it. Tonight I want to share my joy. Soon, I'll be announcing a personal partnership that will surprise many of you. But it is built on love, freedom, and honesty. The room applauded politely. He glanced down at me, eyes shining, daring me to question. He was preparing to claim Sienna publicly, even while I sat in the front row as his wife. June's eyes flicked toward me. Her message was clear. If you wait, he'll control the story. My heart pounded. The plan had been to wait for the mingling, to let Harper hand the envelope in private to the executives. But if Colton spoke the lie first, I would look like the jealous wife scrambling after his spotlight. I rose. My chair scraped the floor. The sound cut through the applause. Heads turned. Colton froze for half a second before forcing a smile. And my wife Aurelia is here tonight. Let's give her a hand for always supporting me. His tone dripped with patronizing sweetness, the kind that implied I was little more than an accessory. The applause swelled. I felt heat climb my spine. I didn't move to sit. I stepped forward instead, the binder clutched in my hands. I am glad you spoke of honesty, Colton, I said clearly. My voice carried farther than I expected. The room stilled, forks suspended, glasses mid-air. Colton's smile stiffened. Darling, let's not. I laid the hotel confirmation on the table nearest the stage. The bold letters reflected the chandelier light. Mr. Colton Hale and Miss Sienna Lake. Romantic suite. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The silence was sharp enough to cut. Colton's mask cracked for the first time that evening. Because before he could answer, the ballroom door swung open, and Sienna herself walked in, dressed for the gala, scanning the crowd until her eyes locked on him. The doors creaked open and every head turned. Sienna Lake entered the ballroom like a storm no one had expected. Her dress shimmered under the lights, her chin lifted, her eyes scanning the room until they found Colton. The air snapped tight. Colton's face drained of color. He took half a step forward, then stopped, trapped by the weight of so many eyes. He had wanted to reveal her on his terms, at his time, wrapped in his lies. Instead, she had walked into the fire of my truth. Sienna's gaze swept to me, then down to the document glowing on the table. She froze. The name she shared with Colton stared back at her in black ink. The murmurs in the crowd rose, frantic, excited, horrified. I felt my hand steady. My voice carried. Colton speaks of honesty. Then let us have honesty. I opened the binder and pulled out page after page. The boarding passes. The dinner receipt. The photograph of his hand wrapped around hers at the riverfront bar. This is where he has been, I said, my tone calm, deliberate. This is where the company's money went. Here are the flights. Here is the hotel. Here are the expenses he called business. And here is the woman he promised his honesty to. Gasps rippled across the ballroom. Forks clattered onto plates. Colton lunged forward, trying to grab the papers, but June was faster. She rose from her seat, camera still recording, blocking his hand. Sit down, Colton, she hissed, loud enough for those closest to hear. He stammered. This is fabricated. Harper stood smoothly from the back, clutch in hand. She walked to the nearest executive, handed him the sealed envelope and said clearly, "These are verified documents. Corporate card misuse. Fraudulent charges. Witness statements." The executive's face hardened as he flipped through the pages. He turned to the head of the table, whispering sharply. Meanwhile, Sienna's composure cracked. She stepped closer, her voice trembling. "You told me you were separated," she said to Colton. The words carried in the stunned silence. "You told me she knew." The room erupted in shocked whispers. Some faces turned toward me, others toward her. Colton's mouth opened and closed, no words forming. His hands trembled, sweat dotting his forehead. I straightened, letting the weight of silence press on him. "You promised us both," I said, my voice firm. "You promised loyalty to me. You promised freedom to her. And you paid for your lies with stolen money." The head of the company finally rose, his voice crisp. "Mr. Hale, you will step away immediately. An internal review will begin tomorrow morning." His words were colder than any I could have spoken. Colton swayed, his carefully built image crumbling in front of his peers. He tried one last time to salvage the moment. "Aurelia, please, let's not." I cut him off. "This is not my doing, Colton. This is yours. Every receipt, every text, every stolen dollar, this is you. Tonight the mask falls." Sienna shook her head, her eyes glistening. "You told me I was the only one." Then she turned and walked out, heels clicking like a gavel striking down judgment. The ballroom buzzed like a hive, but I stood tall, binder in hand. For the first time, I wasn't the quiet wife in the corner. I was the one who carried the truth into the light. Because as the executives whispered and Colton buried his face in his hands, one of his closest colleagues leaned toward me and said softly, "You don't know the half of it. There's more he's been hiding." The ballroom didn't explode all at once. It fractured in pieces. A gasp here. A whisper there. The scrape of chairs as people leaned toward one another. Voices urgent, secretive. The evidence had been like a stone dropped into a still pond. The ripples were spreading, unstoppable. Colton's colleague, the one who had whispered to me, "You don't know the half of it," straightened and said nothing more. His face was stiff, his jaw set. But the implication lingered. This was bigger than I imagined. Across the table an investor leaned back, arms crossed. "Misusing company funds," he muttered to another. "Unbelievable. How long has this gone on?" Another replied, "If he'll lie to his wife, he'll lie to us." The words weren't shouted, but they landed heavy. Colton heard them. His shoulders curled inward. His polished smile was gone. He stood abruptly, hands shaking. "This is nonsense," he said too loudly. "Fabrications. Tricks. He jabbed a finger at me. "She's jealous. She can't handle." The head of the company cut him off with a sharp gesture. "Enough, Colton. Sit down." Silence crashed over him. He looked around, searching for allies, but every face he met turned quickly away. Even his assistant, the one who had slipped me the note, avoided his gaze, cheeks pale. June remained seated, phone still angled. Paul moved closer to the cluster of executives, offering to give a statement. Harper hovered near the head table, calm and immovable, ensuring the envelope was in the right hands. My team, my allies, stood firm while Colton flailed. Sienna's exit still echoed through the room. The sound of her heels had been like a sentence, and now the guests replayed it in their minds. She had accused him openly, not me. Her words had confirmed my proof. No one could deny it now. Colton tried again. "This is private. Not for tonight." But the damage was done. His outburst only proved what the documents had already shown. He was cornered, desperate, exposed. The head of the company leaned forward, his voice ice. "You will leave now. Tomorrow morning, compliance will contact you. Until then, your privileges are suspended." Gasps rolled through the crowd again. To be stripped of status publicly, at his own beloved gala, that was a punishment worse than anything I could have screamed at home. Colton's fists clenched. For a heartbeat I thought he might explode further. Throw something, curse me openly. Instead, he turned sharply, stormed toward the exit, and shoved the doors so hard they slammed against the wall. The sound rattled the chandelier above. The silence that followed was deafening. Then whispers rose, buzzing like a hive. "She planned this," someone murmured, eyes flicking toward me. I didn't shrink. I met their stares. "No," I said clearly, letting my voice carry just enough. "He planned it. I just refused to hide it." A murmur of agreement rippled through the guests. Heads nodded. Some gave me looks of sympathy, others of respect. No one looked at me as a fool anymore. June stood, sliding her phone into her purse. "It's done," she whispered. But I shook my head slightly. "Not yet. Not until tomorrow." Because I knew Colton. Rage was his fuel. He wouldn't accept humiliation quietly. He would try to fight back in the only way he knew, by twisting the story, by painting himself as the victim. Tonight was only the first wave. Outside the ballroom windows I saw flashes, paparazzi cameras. News had leaked faster than we expected. Someone had called reporters. Maybe an executive, maybe a guest who wanted the scandal whispered beyond these walls. Either way, by morning the story would live beyond the company. Harper returned to my side. "You were flawless," she murmured. "Calm. Controlled. Exactly what we planned." Paul nodded, still pale. "The board is furious. They'll push for immediate action." I folded the binder shut and felt its weight in my arms. Heavy, yes, but lighter than the years of silence I'd carried. As we walked out of the ballroom, I heard one last whisper trail behind me. She destroyed him in front of everyone. Because when I stepped into the cool night air, my phone buzzed with a new message from Colton. "You think you've won. Tomorrow you'll regret this more than I do." The morning after the gala, my phone lit up before the sun had cleared the blinds. Dozens of messages, missed calls, tags on social media. The story had already broken. Local executive exposed at charity gala in alleged affair. Company confirms suspension pending review. Wife presents proof of fraud in front of investors. The headlines spread like wildfire. Every outlet had a version, some polished, some dripping with gossip. My name appeared in bold beside Colton's, no longer the quiet shadow at his side but the woman who had ended his mask. I sipped coffee slowly as the children played in the living room. The television, muted, scrolled the news ticker with his name. I felt the weight of years of silence lifting. For once, I wasn't the woman being mocked behind closed doors. I was the one holding the light. But Colton wasn't finished. By noon, he posted on his professional page. "I was ambushed last night in an orchestrated attempt to humiliate me. The so-called evidence was taken out of context. My wife has been manipulated by outsiders who want to see me fall. I ask my colleagues and friends not to rush to judgment until the truth is known." The comments split instantly. Some defended him. "Stay strong, Colton, everyone makes mistakes." Others cut sharper. "If it wasn't true, why did you run out of the gala? Your wife deserves better." The divide was brutal, but the tide was not in his favor. June texted me, "Don't respond. Silence is power." Still, the pit in my stomach tightened. I knew him well enough. Colton would not stop at denial. He would weaponize pity, twist perception, and try to make me look like the unstable wife who snapped. By evening, whispers spread through our neighborhood. A friend at the cafe leaned close and said, "They say he's telling people you forged documents." I laughed once, humorless. "Then he'll have to explain why his name is on every receipt." Harper called me that night. Her tone was crisp, steady. "He's flailing. That's good for us. The company is fast-tracking the audit. Your calmness at the gala makes you credible. His tantrums make him look guilty. Do not let him bait you." As if on cue, my phone buzzed with another message from him. "You think the crowd was on your side? Wait until they hear what you've done. I'll destroy your reputation before you destroy mine." I closed my eyes, breathing slow. His threats sounded desperate, but they still stung. June came over, arms full of takeout. She hugged me tight. "He's drowning," she said. "Let him. Don't jump in after him. Just stand on the shore and let the tide pull him under." That night, as I tucked the children into bed, they asked quietly, "Mom, why was Daddy so angry yesterday?" I smoothed their hair and said only, "Because sometimes when people lie for too long, the truth feels like fire." Downstairs, I sat at the table, my binder open, the stack of proof beside me. I was tired, yes. My heart was bruised. But the fear was gone. Colton had mocked me for years when I spoke softly. He thought patience was weakness. Now he was learning that silence can be strategy, and strategy can be the sharpest weapon of all. Because the next morning, a reporter called my office directly, saying they had obtained another set of documents linked to Colton's name, and they wanted my comment before publishing. The reporter's voice lingered long after I hung up. Another set of documents linked to Colton's name. I didn't know what they had, but I didn't need to. Truth has a way of multiplying once the first stone is thrown. His mask had cracked, and now every hidden detail was crawling into daylight. Within hours, the article dropped. It revealed reimbursements for trips Colton had claimed were client development. Luxury suites, wine tastings, dinners, all with no clients present. The records matched the receipts in my binder. My quiet file of evidence had been the first match. The press was the wildfire that followed. By midday, the company issued a statement. Effective immediately, Mr. Colton Hale has been terminated pending further investigation into financial misconduct. The words were sharp, public, final. His career collapsed in one paragraph. Colton tried one last push. He called me voice ragged. "You've ruined me, Aurelia. Was it worth it? We could have fixed this. We could have kept it private." I let silence stretch between us until he grew frantic. Then I said, "You ruined yourself." All I did was hold up a mirror. And I ended the call. The days that followed were strange, almost unreal. Neighbors watched me differently. Not with pity but with respect. Some avoided me, too uncomfortable to face the woman who had shattered the illusion of a perfect man. But others came forward quietly, telling me they admired my strength. Sienna sent me a letter handwritten. She apologized, said she had been lied to. Promised she wanted nothing more to do with him. I believed her, not because I trusted easily, but because her words carried no performance. She had been a victim too, though of a different kind. At night, after the children slept, I sat with June and Harper, glasses of wine between us. June smiled a little sad. "He'll never recover from this." "Not fully." Harper's tone was sharper. "That's justice. He built his life on lies. Lies collapse when the foundation is rotten." I nodded slowly. My revenge hadn't been about public humiliation alone. It had been about balance. For years I had carried the weight of silence, of suspicion, of being treated like less. Exposing him was the equal measure, the counterweight to years of deceit. The house felt different now. Lighter. The rooms no longer echoed with the sound of his rehearsed charm. My journal sat on the nightstand, filled with entries that no longer ached. The last line I wrote was simple. He planned a wild getaway without me. I planned a reckoning he will never forget. I don't know where Colton will go now. Perhaps he'll vanish into another city, another lie. But wherever he lands, he will remember the night his wife refused to stay silent. The night the mask was torn away not by shouting, but by calm, undeniable truth. And now, to you, the one listening to my story. Maybe someone has tried to make you small. Maybe they've told you your silence means weakness, your patience means surrender. Hear me clearly. Silence is not surrender. Patience is not weakness. Silence is the space where you sharpen your blade, gather your proof, and choose the moment. When betrayal comes, you don't need to scream. You don't need to beg. You need only to open the folder, place the truth on the table, and let the weight of it collapse the lie. I am Aurelia. My husband planned a wild getaway without me, but I built a revenge he will remember forever. This was my story. If it gave you strength, if it reminded you that betrayal can be met with dignity and power, stay with me. Subscribe, share, and join me for the next story, where lies unravel, masks fall, and justice always finds its way into the light.